Hello, everyone. We are gathered today to analyze and understand how the evolution of European and national regulations has an impact on the evolution of fireplaces and on the design and creativity. All of this within the context of Ecodesign 2022, which comes into force on the 1st of January 2022 and concerns wood-burning fireplaces. We have an exceptional panel today with external and internal experts from Focus. We are going to discuss three main topics. The first one is how Focus has helped to change the space for fireplaces within our homes. The second is eco-design. Will this regulation change the uses? And the third topic is why creativity and innovation are the best assets when faced with change. Before we start, I inform you that you can chat online with our focus experts. My name is Hubert Viallate. I am an economy journalist, and I am delighted to MC today's event. For the first topic, which is how Focus has changed the space for fireplaces within our homes, I'm going to introduce our panelists to speak with us. Nathalie Soubiran. Hello, Nathalie. You are a journalist and an editor-in-chief of the magazine Art and Decoration that is going to celebrate its 125 years in 2022. Cécile Bertin. Hello, Cécile. You are an interior architect located near Avignon, president of UNED, which is the National Interior Designer and Interior Architects for the Mediterranean region from Perpignan to Corsica. UNED is Focus's partner. And Vincent Grégoire. Hello, Vincent. You are the head of prospection with L'Enerodi. You are the chief trender, the captain of the trender teams. Your business is to anticipate the fashion phenomena, the new ways of living, the new ways of dressing, of eating, so all of the new trends. So once again, hello to all three of you. The very first question, why did you accept the invitation from Focus today? Who would like to start? I've been working with Focus regularly for renovation projects because in interior design, we mostly do renovation. And it's true that Focus is a product that is quite elitist and relatively atypical, and it's a product we really love. So I'm delighted to take part in this event today to support the evolution of Focus. I was invited and I love it. It's a great brand. And it's a brand that really impressed me when I was a child because I've discovered friends of my parents who were architects and had a Focus fireplace. And in my subconscious, it struck me it is a known brand. And I really appreciated the fact that I was asked to take part in this project and in this event. For myself, I have photographed many homes with Focus fireplaces, and I thought this brand was very much in line with the editorial line of art and decoration, which is French know-how that we defend in our magazine. What is the image that you have of Focus? How is Focus different from others very concretely on this market? Focus is a product that is relatively atypical. For years now, we are seeing fireplaces that are encased in the wall. You have a lintel and you gather around it. And then Focus arrived in the 60s with a product that was very innovative. So the Gyrofocus, and it's true that these chimneys are really very different from the traditional fireplace. They're a central fireplace. In the 60s, it was something that was very innovative. Suspended and central and revolving. I find it very interesting inside the home because it's really standing out in terms of design. And what really interests me with the Focus fireplaces is that it's so visible that you either love the design
on
or
n'adhère
you
pas et
really
qu'on n'aime
do
pas
not
ou
like it
même
and you don't
très,
choose
très
it, but it
indifférent.
leaves no one indifferent. It is a product
Donc
that leaves
ça, c'est
nobody
vraiment
indifferent in
l'application
terms of
qui
decoration. I find this very
Nathalie,
interesting.
on adore
Going
ton
back to
podcast
what
parce
Nathalie
qu'il
said,
y a
you love
vraiment
it or
une
you hate it.
vraie
There's a
créativité,
real
il y a un parti
creativity,
pris,
there's
une
a real
conviction, il y a quelque chose
strength
d'un
of
peu
decision.
structural,
There's something
radical
that is structural, that is
voilà,
radical.
une vraie
There's a
histoire et
real
c'est très,
story
très
behind
différent
it,
de
and it's
ce
very
qu'on retrouve
different from
d'habitude.
what we can see
Voilà,
usually.
c'est très rare de
And it's
trouver
very
quelque
rare
chose de
to
vraiment
find this kind of
devenu
thing.
icône et
It
devenu
became
tendance.
iconic, it is a reference now.
Par rapport aux
I
architectes,
apologize to the architects,
une histoire d'amour,
but Focus and Architects is more of a love story. Can you
Oui,
explain
c'est vrai
this
que,
to me? Well, it's
Focus
true
permet à tout le
because
monde,
Focus
on est toujours en train de rechercher
allows us to
les clients
keep
nous appellent
searching
pour
what we're
justement
looking
des
for.
choses
The
différentes.
clients contact us
Focus
to
répond
do
à
something
des besoins
different, and
spécifiquement,
Focus
on
answers
travaille
that.
dans un foyer qui
We
est un
are on
objet, une
something that
sculpture
is an
et en
object, a
plus,
sculpture
je
that we
dirais que
bring inside
l'avantage
the home. Furthermore,
de
the
la pièce
advantage
Focus,
of the Focus fireplace
ces
with
foyers qui sont toujours
this
auto-entretenus
revolving
nous permettent
earth,
à nous de répondre
it
aussi à des
allows
demandes,
us to meet
qui sont, multiples.
demands that
Donc,
are
on a souvent,
multifold. Often
le coin
we
cheminée, le
have
coin
the
télévision, le coin repas et
fireplace
en ayant
corner, the meal
un élément
corner,
central
and
comme
to have a
ça,
central
on peut
element like
répondre
this, you are
aux gens qui
able
effectivement chaque
to
foyer se
give
perd, dans la
this
maison,
heart,
à répondre à une
this
demande unique
earth
tout en
to
faisant un bel
the
objet. Donc
home,
pour nous, c'est vrai que
and
c'est
it
quelque chose
allows
de
you
très
to meet
positif.
multiple demands through
Nathalie,
beautiful objects.
les architectes,
Natalie, on architects,
qu'est-ce qu'ils vous racontent
what
des
are they
architectes
telling you about the
dans
Focus
les
C'est
brand?
très
derniers pages
intéressant
What
dans
is
les,
very
reportages,
interesting
que j'ai
in
pu faire,
what
c'est qu'au
I
fil des
was
années, la
able
cheminée,
to photograph.
a
Over
évolué
years,
au
the
niveau de la forme,
fireplace
mais elle
has
a évolué
changed in
aussi sur
terms
son
of its shape
positionnement dans la
and
maison.
in terms of where it's
Donc, là,
positioned
avec des
inside the
cheminées
home.
suspendues,
So, with
parfois avec,
suspended
des
fireplaces,
petits bancs à côté pour
sometimes with
s'installer,
small benches
ou
to sit close
qui
to it,
pivotent,
or a
ou
revolving
aussi
fireplace, or
transversales, qu'on
even a
peut les voir,
transversal
du côté,
fireplace. You
de
can
la
see it
salle à
from
manger
the
et en
dining
même temps, on
room
peut
and
voir
you
aussi
can
de
see it
côté,
on
salon.
in the living
Voilà.
room.
Vraiment la cheminée, elle
So
a bougé dans la pièce,
it
de
has
vie
been a
et
change for the fireplace.
pour
It's
être,
changed in the living
la pièce
space
maîtresse
to
idéale
really become
et
the
vraiment la
masterpiece
pièce
of
maîtresse de la décoration.
decoration inside the home.
cette histoire d'amour, c'est aussi
This love
directement
story, is it
avec
also
les consommateurs,
directly
les
with
consommateurs qui
the
sont
consumers who are
de plus en plus
increasingly
informés.
informed?
Vincent,
Vincent, what would you say?
qu'est-ce qui fait qu'il y a cette relation
Why is
directe
there
avec
this direct link with the
Parce que
consumers?
c'est une histoire d'amour
Because it's a love
ça raconte une
story.
histoire, il faut que ça
It
ait une vraie
paints
identité,
a
une vraie
picture. It needs to
personnalité,
have a
il
real
faut que ça exprime
identity, a
aussi une certaine
personality.
vision
It also needs
de la
to
modernité.
express a
Et en
vision
ce
of
moment, les
modernity.
consommateurs,
Right now,
nos
the
concitoyens
consumers, the
sont un peu
people,
perdus, donc
are
ils
a
ont
little bit lost.
besoin
So there's a
de
need
créer du
to
lien à l'intérieur de la
recreate
maison, de remettre de la vie,
relationships and
de
links
revenir
inside
presque
the
à
home, to
l'origine
recreate life, to get
de
back
notion
to
de
the
maison, puisque le
origin
foyer a
of
été
the
construit autour
home. It was
de la
built
cheminée.
around
Parce que dès qu'on met le
the
nez dehors, on
hearth.
a un peu peur, quoi. C'est
And
doute, insécurité,
as soon as you're
pollution. Enfin, dès
outside,
qu'on est à
there's a doubt
l'intérieur,
in
on se sent
lack of
protégé. Donc il y a
safety,
une sorte
pollution. As soon
de
as you're
retour aux
home,
sources.
you feel
Et le
protected
feu,
and you
c'est
go back to
absolument
your roots. And
incroyable, quoi. La
fire is
cheminée
incredible.
commence
This is why you have all of
d'un
these
four à
trends
pizza,
for
de
pizza
brasero, de
ovens,
barbecue, de
brasero,
cheminée,
barbecues,
de
and
remettre de la
fireplaces
chaleur
to
dans nos vies
bring
parce
back
que
heat
on est un
into
peu
our
perdu.
lives
Donc c'est un
because we're a
symbole
little bit
d'air, c'est un système
lost.
de
So
gravité.
it's a
Donc il y a
center
quelque
of
chose de très
gravity,
important autour
and
duquel
it's
on va
something that
construire
is
une
important
ville
around
parce qu'il
which
y a
we are going to
une
build a
dimension
story.
sociologique.
So there's a
Ouais,
sociological dimension.
c'est plus qu'un élément
Yes, it's more
décoratif,
than
c'est un
a
élément
decorative
symbolique, c'est un
object. It's
élément
a symbolic object.
stratégique.
It's a strategic
Et
object.
Gyrofocus, ça permet justement cette
And within
circulation.
Focus, it
Et ça
recreates
qui a
this
fait vraiment bouger les lignes,
circulation
qui a une vraie
around
disruption
the object. And that's what
dans
moved
le
the
métier
lines
de
and
design.
created a real
Moi, j'aimerais
disruption
ajouter
in
un
this
point, en
business.
fait, c'est que
I wanted to add
sur,
a
au
point
fil des reportages que j'ai pu faire où il y avait
as
une
I
cheminée Focus, à
wrote
chaque fois, on me
pieces.
présentait la
Whenever
cheminée
there was
Focus.
a
Donc j'arrivais
Focus
avec le
fireplace,
photographe,
I would
hop,
be
les propriétaires
introduced
venaient, me
to the
disaient:
Focus
«Regardez, on a
fireplace. As
cheminée
soon as I
Focus,
brought the
elle est
photographers,
magnifique,
people would
c'est
say,
vraiment».
"Oh, look,
Il y a une
I
vraie
have a
histoire
Focus
d'amour avec les
fireplace. It's
archives et il y
magnificent."
avait une
And
fierté quand même
there's a
qui
real love
vraiment,
story. There's real
nous,
pride
nous,
saying,
on nous montre
oh, you know, people are
comment ça
switching it
fonctionne
on.
et hop, on insiste,
They
on fera de
show
la
how
lumière
it
au
works
visage,
and they
voilà.
insist.
Donc il y a
So
vraiment,
Bah, il faut que ce soit une histoire
well, it
d'amour,
needs
sinon
to be a love
on
story
investit
because you've
très fort.
dans ce
invested
projet
in this
pour des
project for
années.
years.
Donc autant que waouh,
So
on
you might
adore,
as well
ça fait partie
love
de la
it and it's
famille
part of the
et
family
c'est
and you
vrai
live with
qu'on
it.
vit
You
autour
live around it. Nathalie and Cécile, I think that you were fortunate enough to visit the manufacturing site for Focus in Cavaillon in Provence. So we're really talking about made in France here. A reaction,
Bah, pour ma
so
part,
a
j'ai
little
été
surprise.
très,
What did you feel about it?
étonnée,
As far as I
la
was
main de l'homme
concerned, I was
qui est
very
présente
surprised
à
by
chaque étape de la
the
fabrication
men
de
of
Gyrofocus.
the hand
C'était
of
vraiment très
men,
étonnant
which
et
is
chaque
present at every
poste
stage of the
je m'attendais à ce
manufacturing
qu'il y ait beaucoup
of
plus de
Focus
machines, que ce soit
fireplaces.
beaucoup plus
I thought
automatisé.
that there would
Il y a
be
des
more
machines, il y a
machines
beaucoup
and
d'hommes,
more
il y a même beaucoup de
automations. There are
femmes
some
sur,
machines,
la chaîne
but
de
there are a
montage.
lot of people, and
On
even a
vraiment
woman
j'ai pu,
on the assembly line. We see
s'extasier, on
one
était très
woman who is
impressionnés, hein, Cécile et
manipulating this
moi par, notre
large
visite.
hearth. We
Et
were
ça,
very
vous avez
impressed,
des
Cécile,
collaborateurs
by our
sur site
visit.
aussi?
Bah, moi
70
j'étais très
employees
émue
on the
effectivement de
site.
sentir, cette
I was
présence de
very
l'humain
moved
et puis
to
on sent
feel
vraiment que
this
de derrière
presence
tout
of
ça,
humans. You
il y
feel
a
that
vraiment
behind this,
un regard,
there is
bienveillant, une et puis
a
surtout aussi,
benevolent
une recherche de technicité très
vision
poussée. Enfin,
and
et c'est
a
vrai que
research
pour avoir
for
vu
a
les autres,
very state-of-the-art technicality.
heu,
Having visited
fabriquer des
other
machines,
manufacturing
on
sites,
sent vraiment
here we
la
can see
présence
a
du
few
travail de l'homme et je pense que c'est ça
machines,
aussi qui
but
fait
we
cette
really
différence
feel
selon que
that
tu mets
the
une idée de base.
handcraft part of it,
Il y a
and
cette
that's the
philanthropie qui se
difference
dégage.
in
Il y a quelque chose qui se
this
dégage qui est très fort.
fireplace.
Je
There's
suis
this
persuadée qu'on sent
philanthropy
quand
that
on
comes
Travail
out. There's
d'excellence,
voilà
something
et
travail
puis
de
that
voilà, il y a
comes
un
cœur,
out.
travail de technicité qui est
There's
vraiment
the
présent,
focus
de
on
détail
excellence, the
exactement et on
love
sent
of
ce point de
work
vue
that is well
craftsmanship.
done, the attention to detail, and we feel that there's a real search for that. A few words on this concern for details, which is almost obsessional, which is really seen in Focus. There's no apparent welding, the
Oui et
details
puis ils
are
expliquaient que si vous
erased.
voulez, ils ont besoin
It's
d'avoir
the
une très
brand
grande
signature.
précision parce
Well, they were
que sans
explaining
cette
that they need
précision qui
to
est
have a great
millimétrée
degree of
effectivement,
precision because without this
les machines
millimeter
ne peuvent pas
precision,
remonter donc il y a un
the
risque d'erreur
fireplaces
qui est
cannot
vraiment
be
minime.
fitted. So
Il
there's
faut
an
vraiment que
error
les
risk
personnes
that
soient
is
vraiment très
absolutely
habilement,
minimal, and you need to
et
have people
exigeantes,
who are very experienced to be able to meet the demands of the brand. And it's very interesting for you as an interior architect to see these stages of manufacturing from a technical viewpoint to
oui,
better
tout
recommend
à fait,
them
on vit mieux les
inside the homes.
produits, on sait mieux
Yes, because we
les
understand
fabriquer,
the
on sait
products
à quoi ils
better, we see
répondent,
how they're
donc forcément
manufactured,
on en parle
we
mieux
see what
et puis je
they
crois
meet, and
qu'on
we're
fait aussi
better
partie
able to speak
pour le
about
coup de
them. And then
l'histoire,
we become part as
de
well
l'objet,
of the
donc on connaît
story
mieux un petit peu aussi
behind the
notre maison et c'est
object.
comme
So
ça qu'on
we
arrive à mieux,
include
apprécier
our
le
love
résultat.
with it, and this
et
is
ils
how
veulent
we
savoir
can
d'où ça
show
vient,
it
qui l'a
better.
fait, pourquoi
Well, the
c'est fait,
customers
pourquoi
want to
c'est
Qu'est-ce
know
que c'est
where it
maintenant?
et
comes from,
il faut
who
leur
did it,
raconter
how
son
it's made.
histoire et ils sont
So
très
we need to
attachés
tell the
justement à
story as
cette
well, and they're
excellence
very
de haute facture,
demanding
en
of
l'occurrence.
this
C'est ça aussi la spécificité française,
story and this manufacturing. And this is our
de
French
Et puis ils aiment qu'on leur
exception.
raconte
préciser dans
des
les
histoires
détails.
aussi.
Ouais, bien sûr.
Ils ont besoin de
We
l'histoire
they love
et
On
the
puis
n'achète pas un
history. They
fauteuil
need
anonyme, on
non,
history.
achète,
ouais.
We're
une
buying an
expérience
experience, a
Exactement.
know-how. So there is a very deliberate know-how on the site and state-of-the-art technology for laser cutting, for test beds. It's a mixture of both, right? As time went by, how did you see the evolution of Focus fireplaces? Today, are we talking more about design than pure heating? It's true,
Oui
and
et c'est
it's
vrai que,
what Vincent was saying earlier.
les
Demands
demandes
today are for
ce que disait tout à l'heure Nathalie,
togetherness.
les
Today,
demandes
homes
aujourd'hui
meet
sont
thermal
telles que
regulations that are
aujourd'hui
such that we no longer need
les
to
maisons
heat
aujourd'hui
as we
demandent
did
visiblement
way
des
back in the
sondations
day.
telles
And
qu'on
the
n'a plus besoin de
fireplace is
chauffer
going
comme
to
on le
become
faisait, à l'époque et
the
que la
core of
nuit,
the home.
besoin de
So
place pour une certaine
the
convivialité et puis
Gyrofocus
en plus, on a quand même des endroits
fireplace
qui sont
needed
bien organisés donc il y a
large spaces,
les
and
cabinets comme la
today
maison Focus
we
avec
can
des
allow
emplacements vraiment
ourselves to
des
have a
espaces assez vastes
gyrofocus with the
et là
slim
aujourd'hui,
focus
on
in
peut se permettre
smaller
d'avoir des
spaces, and
cabinets,
it's still
assez
going
petits
to
et
meet the
assez
demand. It is
minimalistes donc
still
c'est
going
valable
to
beaucoup pour
bring
les
this
femmes
touch,
et qui va quand même
and it's
répondre,
going
qui va quand même garder
to
la touche
meet
et qui va
the
quand même garder la
expectations
classe
of an urban clients.
qui va répondre
It's also going
effectivement
to make life simpler. We want to make
au
simpler
bien-être, tout
things.
à
You
fait,
have some
voilà et qui
gas-powered
facilite après
models
aussi
that
pour
have been
nous. On
released,
disait
and it
que ça
allows you to have a
facilitait la vie
beautiful
donc
flame
là,
by
il y a
pressing
des
on a button
gaz qui sont
without
fabriqués
having
au gaz donc
all
c'est
of
génial. On peut
the
vraiment
mess of
avoir
bringing wood,
une
the
place de
dust.
très belle
When
qualité
you are in an
donc ça
apartment,
va
it's
vraiment faire
complicated.
toute l'intendance
That's why you
derrière,
start to
le
have in
bois,
hotel
la vitre
lobbies and
qui
in
va bien avec ça
offices
quand on est
the
dans des
presence of
appartements qui sont
these
très cosy.
C'est pour ça
fireplaces
qu'on commence même à voir
to have this
dans des locaux
fireplace
d'hôtels
to gather around for co-working spaces. It's very interesting. And the chimney then the fireplace becomes a competition with screens and television. It's becoming increasingly spectacular and magical. It brings an addition to watch a fire burn is something that blows your mind. It's quite a surprising experience. So it is also changing in those terms. Natalie? Well, I think that the evolution also meets a trend in decoration, which is personalization. So of late, we've realized that manufacturers of white goods, decorations, furniture tell the customers that they can personalize what they're buying. And when I visited the manufacturing site, I saw the various finishes, which also makes it possible to adjust and personalize your equipment. So I did a piece on a loft in Paris. They had the Meta Focus, which is a gas powered focus fireplace. This loft was very vegetalized. There were many plants. It was a very zen atmosphere with a lot of natural materials and this beautiful fireplace that reproduced the wood. It was in this greenish bronze and it was absolutely magnificent. And of course, it meets the need for personalization of the place. And I think that's a real trend in fireplaces as well, with installation configurations that are very different. But that's what I was saying. It was either fitted into the wall, it was suspended with seats next to it. Maybe you've done other things, Cécile. Maybe you've installed it elsewhere. So how do you install it? We have architectural constraints when we do some renovation projects, and we wanted to do a triangular shaped
Oui,
place with a living
ben, moi
room,
j'avais oui, j'avais
a
effectivement,
dining room,
c'est vrai que
and
des fois
a
quand
bar.
on
And he
allait avoir
wanted
des
to be
contraintes
able to move
architecturales,
around in the
il
evening
y
by
avait
revolving
beaucoup de
around the
place
central
et là, en
fireplace. And the
l'occurrence,
other
on veut
constraint
faire
that we had
une
was
cheminée
that
centrale
behind
avec,
it we had
une
a
triangulation pour
load
relier un
bearing
bar, soit un salon et un coin
concrete
repas.
pillar that
C'était
was
vraiment
quite
l'exigence du
significant.
client de pouvoir voir sa
So
cheminée tourner
we
autour et
decided
évoluer
that
dans la soirée,
this
tout
pillar
simplement
was
pour
going to be a
aussi
mineral
relier ses clients
monolith in the middle of the
et en
room.
plus, on avait
And so we
mis
had
quelque
a
chose, c'est qu'on a
technician
des
of
verres,
focus come along with us
intégrés,
because they support us when we
porteurs
have real
piliers béton qui
specific
nous permet
technical
c'est un peu
demands. And
d'isolant.
we've tried to
Donc on a
position the
comparti,
fireplace.
de
We've
se dire que cette
calculated
cheminée-là allait
the
être
height
monolithe au
of
niveau de la
the
pièce et
flume
minérale
and the
et cette cheminée,
place of the
en
fireplace with
respectant les
regards
techniques
to
Gyrofocus
the
et
material
les
of the
disciplines
pillar, plus the
et
little
des vraies
seats
demandes
for
spécifiques
people
au
to
niveau
sit,
technique
while
et donc
respecting
on a essayé de
the
placer des
wishes of
poignées,
the
donc
customer. And it
on a
was the Filio
continué le
Focus.
déploiement,
Focus
du
is
contenu
innovating
sur
all
pas
the
mal de
time,
produits et fait la
including on
place
the
de la
Gyrofocus.
cheminée par
There's a
rapport
white
à ce
Gyrofocus, so
matériau. Parce qu'il faut quand même
fire
garder une
on
distance à
white.
respecter,
It's quite
plus la hauteur de
innovative.
4 mètres pour que les
What do you think
personnes
about
fassent
that?
pas
Would
une
you
cheminée
like
complètement
to
ronde.
see a
Voilà, tout à
gyrofocus, a
fait.
white
Ouais, ouais.
gyrofocus at home? I would
Uniquement sur
love
du
it.
Filio
I
Focus.
would love to have a house, an old farm that is a little bit raw. And as soon as noticed that they existed in white, I would love a culture shock between the past that is almost raw and a symbol of modernity, because it really is
Ouais, c'est un
a
beau rêve.
futuristic
C'est un beau
design
rêve, c'est d'avoir
that
une maison comme
creates
ça,
this
une belle ferme,
disruption. It's really
toute
all
ancienne,
of the
toute
codes,
brute,
but it keeps
et
its
d'avoir une
soul, it
Gyrofocus
keeps
blanche.
its
J'ai découvert
identity
qu'elle existait en blanc.
without
Voilà,
making
la
any
chouette de me dire entre
compromises. So
le
you
passé
need to be really bold
presque
to do
brut,
white chimney, because
et
very
puis,
often when you
la
have
modernité, parce que quand
a
même,
fireplace somewhere,
un
you know
design,
that you have soot
futuriste,
everywhere,
quoi,
so you need
voilà,
to be
futuriste,
reassured by doing
qui
a
a vraiment
white
cassé les codes,
fireplace. Well, we
tout en
like
gardant
it.
son âme, quoi, tout en
When
gardant
you look at Focus,
son
they've really
identité,
dared to
sans trop
have
bouger,
a white
On
coating,
rappelle que
and it's
le
not
Gyrofocus
something
a
that
été
everybody
élu
would
plus
do.
bel objet du
When,
monde
once
en
again, it
2009.
doesn't
Plus bel
leave
objet,
anybody
pas plus belle
indifferent.
cheminée.
The
Donc cette
Gyrofocus was
série
elected most
d'expériences
beautiful
économiques
object
donc
in
qui
the
a été créée en
world in
1968
2009.
qui a
Not
été
most beautiful
appelée
fireplace, but
Guggenheim.
most beautiful
Donc c'est pas le
object. So
dessin
this
initial
iconic
et banal
suspended
d'une
fireplace
cheminée en
was
fond de
also
terracotta.
exposed in the Guggenheim. So it is not the original destiny for a fireplace. We'll all agree on that. So in a few words, maybe
d'après
what
vous?
has focus changed in the
effectivement, ça
market
rejoint
for
exactement ce que je disais.
fireplaces?
C'est-à-dire qu'il y a entré
Indeed,
un
it
objet
is exactly what you've said.
dans la
They've
maison plus
they've
qu'une cheminée. C'est-à-dire que
made it an
littéralement, ils
object
viennent
in the
chercher quelque
home
chose
more than a fireplace. This is
que l'on aime
a,
qui va
a
avoir une autre valeur
design
que juste une
object. It's
voilà.
something that you love, and it's going to have another value than just a fireplace for
Pour
you.
Vincent?
Oui, j'en
Natalie, I
profite de
believe you
voir
have a
Vincent
question for
aujourd'hui
Vincent.
et je voudrais lui
Well, I'm
demander, je suis en train de
taking
préparer mes
advantage of
plannings
seeing Vincent
2022,
today. I'm
donc avec
preparing
des
my
dossiers
plans for
cheminée et
2022
d'après
with
toi, comment
a
va évoluer la
lot
cheminée
of
en 2022
fireplace
et les
dossiers. So,
années à
how do
venir?
you see
Bah, il y a un gros
fireplaces
retour de
evolve in
l'activité du foyer dont on parlait
2022
tout
and
à
going
l'heure,
forward?
mais
There's a
avec
big
une vraie
return
personnalité,
for
une vraie
fireplaces, but
créativité,
with a
quelque
real
chose
personality, real
de presque
creativity,
sculptural,
something
voilà,
that is almost
avant-garde,
sculptural,
justement, parce que
very
disait tout à l'heure,
avant-gardist as
compétition
well.
avec
As I
l'écran.
said earlier,
Mais
it's
donc,
something that is
comment
going to
créer une vraie
compete
histoire
with
d'amour, en fait,
screens.
une vraie
So, how do you
rencontre aussi,
create a real love
parce
story?
que c'est un
Because it
produit
is
qui
a
va
product
sans doute
that is going to last
accompagner toute la
your
vie.
whole life.
Tu disais justement tout
And
à
as you
l'heure,
said
la
earlier,
notion
there's this
de
idea of
co-création
co-creating,
est-elle,
of
c'est
saying,
pas juste
I'm
acheter un
just
truc sur
buying
catalogue,
something out
c'est
of
aussi,
catalog. It's
j'aimerais
also, I
bien
would like this to
m'adapter un
be
peu
adjusted
à
to
mes
what I
désirs, à
want
mes envies, de
and
pouvoir
to
se
be able to
l'approprier
make
pour
it
faire en
your
sorte
own in
que ça
order
fasse vraiment partie de la
for
famille,
the
quoi.
fireplace
Donc
to
la
really
tendance, c'est
become
vraiment
part of the
d'aller vers,
family. So the trend here
le
is
parti
to
pris
really
avec,
go
quelque
to
chose
something that
de
is
surprenant
surprising
et qui soit,
and that is
voilà,
like a
rustique
sculpture
comme on
in the
dit
middle of the
vulgairement.
home.
Ça, c'est
So
certainement
that is the
le
strong
futur.
trend. Of
Avec les
course,
objets qui vont
also
venir
with
peut-être
new
demain, qui seront
technologies,
des
maybe
hologrammes,
tomorrow it'll be
style
a
Futuriste,
hologram
un peu
of
comme Star
a
Wars,
focus
mais
fireplace, a little
ça,
bit
le
like in
directeur de
Star
L'avenir
Wars.
nous le
Well, we'll see in
l'avenir
the
nous le
future
dira.
for that. Thank you.
Merci,
Thank,
merci,
thanks to
merci à
all
vous
three of
3 pour ces
you.
échanges
We
passionnants. On se
will
retrouve
then
tout de suite pour le
reconvene
deuxième
for the
sujet.
second topic. Hello, we are now going to move to the second topic, Ecodesign 2022. Will the regulation change uses? After having spoken about the brand, we're now going to talk about the legislation, which is very current with the European Ecodesign regulation that includes heating appliances. With us to talk about this, Guillaume Malaise. Hello, Guillaume. You are in charge of international sales for Focus. Fabio Cameroni. Hello, Fabio. You are in charge of sales for Italy within Focus. Italy, which is the land of design, as we shouldn't remind anybody, and David Idre. Hello, David. You are an architect and you are the founder and the principal for the Idre architecture firm. So you have 10 employees and you are specialized in building high-end homes and in hotel projects. You have been working with Focus for 10 years, and this collaboration has been increasing over the past years. Gentlemen, a first question. What is eco-design? Eco-design is a European regulation which aims to eco-design products for them to pollute less when they are in use. So this is a regulation that applies to various categories of products. For instance, if you buy white goods for your kitchen, it will have an energy label which is imposed by eco-design. Concerning the fireplaces, and for Focus more specifically, this regulation has been applying since 2019 for gas fireplaces, and it will apply to wood fireplaces starting on the 1st of January 2022. Well, does this mean that the iconic Gyrofocus that is wood burning, that is an open fireplace, will no longer be sold? Well, that's a good question. The answer is no. The Gyrofocus, such as it is today and such as it has been existing for 50 years, is not a heating appliance. It is not an appliance for the standard and not in the use that our customers make of it, because it is a sculpture and a decorative object within which we light a fire. and it is not designed for heating, so the impact will be much less in terms of air pollution. So thankfully, these models, such as the other wood-burning open fireplaces from Focus, will remain. However, over the past several years, we have worked on our R&D a lot to develop an eco-design version, so a heating appliance for the Gyrofocus. It is going to be released very soon in September. Yes, in September, and it meets the energy performance criteria and the air pollution criteria of eco-design. So people will have the choice between the open decorative fireplace or the closed fireplace if they want to use it for heating. Well, there's not just eco-design. Of course, there are other regulations on other continents, and we'd like to remind that Focus is selling its models in 80 countries, I believe, with specific regulations in the United States, in Canada, in Australia, etc. So this regulation of heating appliances is multifold around the planet. So before design, Focus has always adjusted itself, and it has adjusted itself in the past to regulations. Well, it's interesting to remind that the framework of Eurodesign is the EU, and outside of the EU, we're not impacted by the Eurodesign legislation, but we have been selling in North America and Australia, and there are also some very stringent standards to limit pollution generated by wood-burning fireplaces. And the Gyrofocus is excluded from these standards because over there as well, it is not considered as a heating appliance. Even if the standards vary from one continent to the next, there is a rationale that says that the heating appliances that will work more will have to meet environmental criteria, and the appliances that are decorative are still accepted. So it is already the case in North America and Australia. These models are sold as design objects. Yes, indeed. Well, it's good to remind it, to reframe this debate. Indeed, Guillaume, could you explain to us the transversal aspect of the Focus range? There are several models that meet various uses, a little bit like you have car ranges with gasoline, um, diesel, electrical vehicles. Well, I think it's a good analogy, really. What we would like to offer our customers is the original design of Focus from Dominique Imbert, regardless of the standard that will apply to this appliance, or regardless of the country and how they use it, whether it's an indoor fireplace or an outdoor fireplace. And the Gyrofocus is a good example because its original version is available as an open fireplace that is wood burning. We're also doing a glazed, closed version meeting the standards of eco-design. We also released a gas version last year, so it is a revolving suspended gas fireplace, which is a global first that we have patented. And we also have an outdoor version because we find fireplaces outside of homes. So it is a design, not any design. It is a historical design of the architecture of the 20th century. And with this, we're able to meet various uses and contribute various solutions for our clients. Fabio, for Italy, let's just once again say that Italy is the largest market for Focus. The Focus models have already adapted and anticipated the eco-design standard, because in Italy you've got the Stelle 4-star standard since 2018, which is more strict than the European one. Yes, we have anticipated what eco-design would be with this Italian standard that concerns not just Italy, but also just predominantly regions in the north of Italy. So we've already experienced this in advance. I'm absolutely not concerned because, as Guillaume just said, with our model and our general range, but again, the main example being Gyrofocus, we can switch to various versions, and we are perfectly capable of meeting the various requirements of our customers with open fireplaces and closed fireplaces in cities that have more restrictions. We have gas that does not pollute, and very soon we will have a glazed gyro, which already has the 4-star label. It goes even further than Ecodesign, and we're ahead of the game if the standards become more restrictive. Well, it's going to happen with European standards. Well, that's possible, but it doesn't concern us. We have a margin. All heating appliances that are burning that we develop within Focus aim for the Quattro Stelle standard because we know that the criteria of eco-design will only be further reinforced over time. So for us, it is a good benchmark. What do clients and Italian architects come to see you for and Focus for? Well, the answer is simple. They're looking for design. It is a design product. It's an iconic product. It is a sculpture, really. So it's easy to answer. We have our range, aside from the Gyrofocus, which are the symbol of focus, which is a model that is more than 50 years old. And with this new version, it is going to continue over the next years. So they're really looking for a design object. Well, the clients are very decided. They mature the project in their mind, and when they come to see you, they're there to purchase. It's a lifetime project. Yes, it's a very significant project for them. It's something you need to imagine inside your home. So when somebody is going to build a home, he doesn't do it that way. You have an architect, and there's a project that starts upstream. I can tell you that many times the model of the focus fireplace is the central focus of the home. I'm not going to say that they're building the home around the fireplace, but close. David, you confirm the fact that right from design, the fireplace is taken into account. Yes, we're working on this principle. Within my firm, we are drawing the house and we're drawing the fireplace when we're drawing the house. It's fully part of the project. It helps us structure space and to create a living space that we want right from the get-go. We don't choose the fireplace once the house is started. Well, why do you integrate it right from the design? Can you further develop? Well, we integrate it right from the start because we need to structure space, and we also want to have an artistic object beyond the fireplace for homes that are contemporaneous and modern with robotized heating system means that you don't need a fireplace anymore, but we need it as an object. So for us, and more specifically for our firm, we are using the Gyrofocus more specifically because there's an object that meets design and meets a standard that we want to have for a home. Fabien, I think you had an anecdote on a Gyrofocus that was right next to a piano, and people were concerned for the health of the piano. Well, it's surprising because we no longer need to heat the home, and so the symbol of the object is so strong that I was improving a beautiful home, and right next to the piano there was a Gyrofocus, and I was a little bit concerned about the fact that if you make a fire, the piano is maybe not going to burn, but it's going to change. And they said, "Oh no, don't worry, because the fireplace is not connected. We can't light a fire in it, but I like the object in the room." But
il y a quand même évidemment un travail
of
de
course,
performance
there is
avec
a
dessus, avec les
performance
écrans.
work that is done. I insisted on design, but we shouldn't forget the performance and the technology behind
Un autre
this.
exemple pour aller dans le sens de
A good
Fabio,
example to
si vous
rebound on what
allez
Fabio has
à
said,
Queenstown, qui est une
if you
station de
go
ski
to
en Nouvelle-Zélande,
Queenstown,
au
which is
sud-est
a
de la
skiing
France, et vous
station
allez
in New
acheter un
Zealand,
sac à main Louis
and you
Vuitton
go
de
and
type
buy
local, vous
a Louis
trouverez un
Vuitton
filet à
handbag,
gaz au
you will
milieu
find
des étagères
a
de
Philofocus
sacs
that is
Louis Vuitton.
gas
Donc là,
powered
on comprend qu'on est
um,
vraiment dans
right
le bel
there.
objet qui est
So
prêt de
we're looking
décoration,
for a beautiful
l'objet de luxe, mais
object, a
effectivement,
decoration object, a
concernant ces
luxury
modèles, on n'est
object.
pas dans le chauffage.
Concerning
Oui,
these
il y a
models,
même la
we're not
technologie, hein,
thinking in
parce
terms of
qu'il faut,
heating
parce que
appliances.
les
Well,
normes
there is
vont vers
technology
ça,
because we're looking
vers
at
des
standards,
paramètres
of course.
de plus en
We
plus
have
restrictives. Et nous,
paramets that are more and more
on est
stringent,
capable de les visager. Donc, il faut
and we
transiger
need to
avec
be
la technologie.
considering them
Un
and
exemple, c'est
facing them with
Gyrofocus,
technology. The other
qui est un
example
autre modèle
is
très important pour nous.
another model that
Il
is
y
very
a évidemment
important
une
for
grande
us,
demande. Ces
where
modèles
there is a
dont
lot of
la taille est
demand.
petite,
In
quand même,
a small
présentent une place
size,
importante dans la pièce, soit qu'ils
it
soient
is
petits,
very
appartements de
important
ville,
in the
soit une
room,
grande maison.
whether it is
Et
in
ce
a
modèle-là,
small
pour exemple,
apartment or in a large home.
il existe une
And
version pour des
our
maisons
model
passives,
exists
donc
for
avec un
passive
système
homes
des prises d'air qui ne perturbe
with a
pas
system that
la
doesn't
circulation d'air dans la maison, mais il prend l'air
change
descendant
the air
directement
circulation
du
in the
toit.
room,
Donc
but it
un
takes
double flux,
the
exactement ça.
air
Et là, c'est par exemple,
directly
c'est le
from the
premier,
chimney.
et je pense le seul modèle
I think
suspendu
it is
central
the only
avec un pilier
central
étanche.
suspended model with
Et rappelons que ces
a
Gyrofocus
completely
sont
sealed
destinés à sublimer
hearth.
les intérieurs
Well,
et ils
these
doivent
are
sublimer les
designed
extérieurs
to
aussi parce que chaque
sublimate the
projet
home. So
qui
when
remonte
you look at
au
each
siège social
project,
à côté de Montpellier, systématiquement on
it
reçoit pour
goes all the way up
une
to the head
finalisation,
office
une
in
validation
Montpellier
par
for a
l'architecte.
Parce que
finalization, a
nous faisons du
validation
sur-mesure
by
dans
the
nos modèles.
home office.
On est un produit
But yes,
architectural,
because we're
on dépend des
very
architectes comme
customized,
David,
we're an
et donc
architectural project,
chaque
and we
installation
depend
fait l'objet
upon
d'une étude
architects like
technique,
David. So
déjà
we
pour
have a
s'assurer
technical brief for
nous
each
fonctionnons
installation. We
le
ensure
modèle
that
et en
the
toute
model is
sécurité,
working
bien sûr,
properly and
mais aussi
safely,
pour
of
s'assurer
course.
effectivement du caractère
We're
esthétique
also
du
making
projet.
sure that the
Parce que
project
depuis
is
50 ans,
visually
Focus,
pleasing, because for the past
sélectionne
50
et
years,
fabrique le
Focus
beau.
has
Ouais, donc
been manufacturing
on regarde les deux
beautiful
points
objects. So we're looking at both aspects.
C'est quand même vachement intéressant d'avoir
It
cette
is very
technique
interesting to have this
management
technical
qui vient
support
nous aider
from
à
the
mettre en place ces outils.
manufacturer
Ah oui,
that
parce que
helps us to install the
c'est du
product.
sur-mesure, donc il y
Yes,
a toutes
because
les
it's custom built,
spécificités
so all of the
du chantier, il faut les
specificities
prendre en
of
compte et il
the
faut aussi
work
aider
site need to be taken into
l'architecte qui
account,
va
and we
faire
need to
le projet.
support the architect that is going to
David,
design
pourquoi
the project.
prescrivez-vous des
David, why do
mini-focus
you encourage your
à vos
clients
clients quand
to
ils
choose
motivent le fait de
Focus
recommander
fireplaces?
un
What
mini-focus
motivates you
plutôt
to
qu'un
do
plutôt qu'un
this
autre?
Je
rather
suis un
than
peu comme
use
les
another
architectes
brand?
italiens.
I'm a
C'est
little
le
bit like
design
Italian architects.
qui nous pousse à
Design
aller vers
is
ces
what
produits
pushes us to choose this
et dès le
product
départ, comme on disait, alors
right
moi
from the start.
j'impose souvent ce
And I
produit.
often
Il
make
met en
this
évidence
project,
les lignes tendues
this
qu'on
product
essaie
right in the
de
middle of my
produire pour la
project as a
structure
standard. It
et c'est vraiment un geste
really showcases
qui est
our
vraiment
architecture,
iconique. Donc
and it's a very
c'est très
iconic
important. Ça
object.
fait
So
vraiment
for us,
partie de
it's very
l'architecture.
important. It really is part of
Vous
our
confirmez que
architecture.
c'est pas un design
So you confirm that
qui
it's
surfe
not
cette
just a
tendance.
design, it's not
Chauffe-être.
just
Alors
a
on
heating
peut faire avec,
appliance.
ça marche très bien. Quand on
No, I
ça
mean,
marche
it
très bien,
works
ça roule
very
très bien,
well.
ça
It,
roule bien
it heats
parfaitement,
very well
mais
in
qui
that
fonctionne bien, qui
sense.
démarre vite. Enfin, c'est
It
assez étonnant
works
d'avoir
well.
ce
It
type de
starts very
produit.
quickly. The product is very
Après,
surprising. But
dans nos
that
maisons, on n'a
said,
pas besoin de ça pour
in our
chauffer. C'est
homes, we
vraiment un
don't need
produit
that to
de
heat them up. It
confort,
really
de
is a
convivialité.
comfort and
On le met même dehors
an
pour mettre des
enjoyment
apéros, des choses
product.
comme
We
ça.
even
Donc
included outside
c'est vraiment
to
bien d'avoir
replace
ces technologies
Brasero.
RT 2012, RE
It's
2012
true
qui
with
arrivent
the RT
pour
2012 and
sécuriser
the
évidemment
other standards that are arriving in France. You no longer need to heat the homes because they're well insulated, and the need for
ça change la
heating
donne. Alors
is very different.
je savais pas,
Yes, it
je
changes
l'ai
things.
appris en venant
I've
ici que
learned
la
by
Gyrofocus
coming
était
here
prêt à
that
arriver sur le
the
marché. Et au-delà
glazed
de ça
gyrofocus
aussi
was
nous
coming to
permettre
the market with
mettre en
that is
place
gas powered.
l'objet avec
So it's going to help
ses
us to set up
spécificités et ses
the
contraintes qui arrivent
object
sur le
with the
marché
right
pour nous, pour
specificity
les
and the
équipements qu'on
constraints
met.
that are arriving in the
Quelques mots
market
sur
for
le
the 1st
niveau
of January
d'exigence du
2022.
focus
A few words on the level of requirement of focus. It really is the purity of the lines. How do you see this
C'est
demand?
la qualité du matériau,
Well, there's
la
the
qualité de
quality of
fabrication,
the material, the
la
quality
qualité
of manufacturing,
du
and the
caractère
quality of
des rapports
implementation. We
qu'on a
were
avec
talking about the
chaque fois qu'on fait un
relationship
projet,
that we have
le
every
projet part
time
à
we
l'étude
design a
thérapeutique
the
tel que lui,
project goes to the
bien sûr
plant
on joue aussi
for the
beaucoup avec
technical brief,
les
but
équipes
we're
sur place.
also
Nous à Soubiran,
in
on a
close
une
interaction with
entreprise
the teams
qui peut
over there.
ces
So we
cheminées,
have
mais
also
ce sont des cheminées qui arrivent à la fin du projet dans des maisons qui sont
companies.
assez haut de
So
gamme avec des
you have
produits
those
sur des projets
fireplaces that
sur des
come
solutions.
at
Et
the end of the
effectivement, ils arrivent
project
avec des
on
grandes
very
normes
high
avec
end,
cet objet
and
d'art
they
que
are
nous on a dessiné au départ.
placing this
Et c'est
art
quand même la touche finale
object where we
d'un
want
projet, quoi.
with
Donc c'est quand
white
même quelque chose
gloves,
d'assez
and it's the last touch on our
exorbitant.
project. So it's really
Une
interesting.
anecdote
So what
Bah,
about the white gloves?
oui,
Is
la
there an
raison,
anecdote?
c'est
Is there a
l'exigence de
specific
nos clients,
reason?
bien sûr.
Well, the specific reason is the
Par
demand
exemple,
of
la
our
cheminée
customers that would not tolerate
un petit
for
peu abîmée
the
lors de son
chimney to a little
installation. C'est
bit
aussi
for the fireplace
l'usage
to
qui
be a
peut être
little
très
bit
important
damaged when it's
parce qu'on
installed.
utilise en fait une
But
peinture noire
we
toute
also
sur
use
mesure,
this.
très
We
mate,
use
qui
a
donne un
very
aspect velours
matte,
au produit
velvety,
qui est
black
différente, qui se
paint,
différencie des
and
paints
it's very
concurrentes.
different
C'est une
from our
peinture qui est un petit peu
competition.
plus
It's a
fragile
paint that is a little bit more
avant le premier
fragile.
flambé. Et donc,
So
on
before
protège
you
effectivement
start
l'installation
the first
De
few
blanc ou à la
fires,
fin, hein.
de
so
blanc.
we
Oui,
need
ouais.
to
Et donc,
protect the
après, c'est stabilisé.
installation
Après,
using
c'est
white
facile
gloves.
à utiliser, hein.
Once it's
Après,
stabilized,
il faut
it's
faire sans précaution. Et donc, on
easy to
arrive avec
use,
ce
but it's
gobelin
just we
pour que
need
tout
to
soit bien.
make sure that
L'avantage
we respect it at
d'exporter
first.
en fait dans
So
beaucoup de
that's why we
marchés,
use the white
c'est aussi
gloves.
d'être prendre de
Well, the
l'avance. Alors
advantage
parce que
of
tu peux parler
exporting in
d'extension
many
avec
markets is
la
to be
révolution qui va arriver dans
ahead
quelques années en
with
France. Et on
the
peut voir encore,
standards. We
par
were
exemple,
talking
qui
about
construisent déjà depuis
um,
plusieurs années des maisons qui sont
self-sealing.
anti-scootants.
So
Et donc
in
ça nous
Northern
pousse
Europe, they've
aussi
been
à sortir des
buying
produits
self-sealing houses for a while.
compatibles avec ces
So we
normes.
have
Donc
to release
Fabio parlait
products
du
that are
Slim Focus.
compatible with these standards.
Effectivement, le Slim
Fabio
Focus
was talking
aujourd'hui,
about the Slim
c'est
Focus,
aussi le
and
Gyrofocus
today,
parce que c'est
even if
le
the
plus exporté
Gyrofocus remains the
dans le monde.
model that is the
Le Slim
most
Focus,
exported
c'est le
through
numéro
the
un des
world,
ventes en Europe.
because is
Et
number
moi, je
two of the
rappelle
sales
aussi
in
que quand
Europe.
on a fait,
I
quand
remember
on a commencé
also that when we
concevoir le
started
Slim
to
Focus,
design the
donc on parle il y a quelques ans,
this new
on avait
range,
déjà Ecodesign dans la
we
tête,
already had the
on
design in
travaillait en
mind.
avance.
So we are
On peut dire
working
donc
well
que les
ahead.
normes
So we can say that
modifient les usages.
standards
Par
change
exemple,
the uses,
Oui,
Guillaume.
oui, parce que
Yes,
les
because
maisons deviennent tellement
homes
isolées
are
que
becoming
effectivement,
so well
ça
insulated
conduit à réduire
that
les
it
puissances
makes us
générées par les appareils
reduce
de
the
chauffage
power
et
of
aussi ça fait sortir les
heating
cheminées de
appliances,
l'intérieur et ça
but it
les amène aussi
also
vers
brings
l'extérieur. Donc c'est pour ça que
fireplaces
le
to the
marché
outdoors.
outdoor
This
pour
is
nous
why the
est un
outdoor
marché
market
important
for us
pour
is
lequel
so
aussi on développe
important, and we are
des produits.
developing new products
On
for
parlait du
it.
gaz
We
tout à
spoke
l'heure.
about
Aux
gas
États-Unis,
earlier.
par
In the
exemple,
United States, for
65% des
instance,
cheminées à gaz,
gas
35%
fireplaces represent
sont liées
65% of the
à des
market. So
créations
it's important
à
for
gaz.
us
Donc c'est vrai
to
que
improve our
je dirais grâce à
gas
toutes ces normes, on
creations.
arrive à
So with
sortir une
all of
gamme
these
très
standards, we can
transversale
release
et qui
a
permet aux
range that is
clients
very cross-sectional that
d'acquérir aussi
allows the
il
customer
y a
to
vraiment un
acquire
regard
the
global
right
pour vous,
focus
parce que
fireplace for their
vous
use.
envisagez à tous les pays du monde,
Well,
quoi,
we
donc
really are
c'est un
considering
peu
all of the countries of the
globalisé.
world. We're very
Et
global.
pour
Well, you've
conclure
mentioned
là-dessus et
it
faire la
before, and
transition
to
avec le troisième
conclude on
sujet,
this and
les
transition into
normes
our third topic for
induisent
today,
évidemment
the standards also
des
induce
innovations. Vous n'avez pas
innovation.
besoin de
You
normes
don't
pour
need
innover,
standards
d'ailleurs,
to
mais
innovate, but
ça vous booste pour
they
innover.
boost you to
oui,
innovate.
voilà,
Yes,
Focus, c'est une maison de création.
Focus is
Donc,
a
ce qu'on aime chez Focus, c'est
creation
créer
company. What
en
we
toute
like is
liberté,
to create
mais
with
pour pouvoir
the full
implémenter
freedom to
ces
do
créations,
so,
quel que soit le
but in
pays,
order
quelle
to
que soit la
apply
norme,
our
effectivement,
creations,
il faut avoir
regardless
un
of the
investissement
country,
très important en
regardless of
R&D
the standard, it
pour
forces us to
que
have
la
a
création puisse
significant
avoir
R&D
l'ensemble
investment so
des
that
aspects
creation
techniques.
can take
Et
into
donc,
account
justement,
all of the
ce sera
technical
l'objet de notre
aspects.
lancement,
And
mais
this will be
on
debated
travaille
in topic
vraiment main dans
number
la
three,
main
but we're
entre la
really working
création
hand in
et la
hand
R&D. Voilà,
with
c'est comme ça qu'on
creation
fonctionne.
and R&D.
Aiment ce
This is
produit.
why architects love this
On est des
product,
créateurs, donc on s'adresse à des gens qui
because
créent aussi.
we're creators and we're
Donc
also
c'est ça
talking with people who are creating art just like us.
un
So it's
petit peu
very
le mot
interesting.
de la fin.
Well,
Je
that's a
vous remercie
great way to wrap
beaucoup.
up, David.
Merci
Thank
beaucoup
you very much.
merci
Thank you,
messieurs. On va
gentlemen.
passer
We
ensuite
are
à la
now
partie
going to
3
move to the
consacrée
third
à la
topic today that
créativité
is
et
dedicated
l'innovation et
to
des atouts
creativity
face
and
aux défis qui
innovation,
sont
which are assets
posés au chantier.
faced with
Merci beaucoup.
change. Let us now talk about the third topic on our focus day. So once again, why is creativity and innovation the best assets when faced with change? So it is more of an inside focus that we're going to talk about. So to talk about it, Christophe Voyer, who is in charge of design for Focus, and Mathieu Betty. Hello, Mathieu. You are the director of the manufacturing and industrial director and R&D director for Focus. So to locate you, Mathieu, you are located in Cavaillon in Provence at the manufacturing site. And Christophe, you are located in the head office of the company north of Montpellier. So you're both located in the south of France, and they are working very closely together, especially on design and innovation. So I would like to focus on three specific models that have their own specificity and their own history, and that really tell a story behind this creativity and innovation. We can maybe start with the glassed gyrofocus, which is going to be released in September. So who would like to talk about the glassed gyrofocus? Well, for the aesthetics and design of this product, this starts with a collaboration with Dominique Humbert. Of course, it is a lengthy process. We've done quite a lot of modeling and tests, and very often these would damage the outside shell. So this was no longer really a gyrofocus. What brought the teams together and the entire company was to try our best to bring this model to the level of performance and of meeting the standards without touching the outside shell. So the iconic product continues to exist such as it was. It seems simple as you say it, but it was a challenge of several years in terms of R&D. Yes, it was a real challenge because the outside shell defined what we expected from the products and the design of this product. And this has led to the technical aspect of the product. We don't touch the outside shell and everything is happening within. So it was really a challenge for us because the temperature is significant and we have a lot of warping. So we need to be able to put the management of combustion within this shell. We can talk about the Slim Focus that was released in 2015. There was a work done to anticipate the standards with Slim Focused, which in 2015 already anticipated the eco-design standards that we're talking about today. Yes, we've been thinking about these products for several years now and on the combustion chambers because we're trying to adjust to the demand of the customer and the very specific aspect of Slim Focus is from the sketches of the design service. We really have a pencil stroke on that is a tube, and we need to integrate within it the combustion chamber that is very narrow and very high. So we need to be able to manage the flame and work on it in order to fill the combustion chamber. And that is very different from the gyrofocus, which is much wider in terms of its shape. So it's not the same approach. And every time we're reinventing the combustion chamber according to the products. The aim of the design is the simplest expression between the earth and its conduct. It's true that the conduct is a little bit higher in here. I'm thinking here it's more the pencil stroke of Dominique Humbert, but he already had this in his head because design and development services are working together and they're making sure that a whole host of other services are looking at the standards that are going to be arriving within the next 5 or 10 years. So our task is to be ahead of the game on what is going to happen. So the Slim Focus was launched in 2015 and it is already meeting the standards that are arriving. Perfect transition between the earth and the conduct of a slim focus. So what was the challenge here?
Alors en fait,
Well,
sur la
on the
partie première, c'est
manufacturing
donc la
part
fabrication pure.
and
Et
on
l'assembly
the
des pièces,
assembly of the
c'est
parts,
deux
these
choses
are
complètement
very
différentes.
different products
Donc l'empreinte d'un
because a
gyrofocus
standard
standard, c'est vraiment
gyrofocus
un
can
produit
have
d'une
about
pièce qui n'a
10
rien à voir
parts, and it has
avec un
nothing to do
gyrofocus vitré
with
qui
a
comporte des
glassed
milliers et des centaines de pièces
gyrofocus
au
that
sein
includes
d'une
about
même pièce.
100 different
Donc un
parts,
slim focus,
and a
il a
slim
uniquement
focus
un comportement
that
de
has
fabrication
between
et c'est que
100
ça.
and 200
Donc
parts. So
le
the
travail est
work
plus
is
fin
more
par
fine-tuned,
rapport
more
à
precise.
notre métier de la chaudronnerie. Effectivement, il faut
We
rentrer un
need
peu plus dans le
to
détail
be
au
much
sein de
more
notre usine pour
detailed
savoir
to
mettre
assemble the
donc
parts
il y a
together.
vraiment
So
un
we
virage qui se fait
really did
effectivement
a
chez
major
Fireplace
change on this
entre
between
vraiment la
the
sculpture fine
sculpture
hyper
that we did
japonie
up until
et
now
aujourd'hui
and
ces
today
modèles
these
complexes
very complex
qui
models
demandent
that
un savoir-faire.
require a lot of know-how. I think there's a
Donc au sein du
double
effectivement en
earth.
fait sur
Yes,
certaines conduites du coup il
on
faut
the
peut-être
same
amener la lumière parce que sur
on
les
the
fireplaces
same
numériques
fireplace, you
on prend l'air
need
neuf
to
de
have
l'extérieur pour
the
rendre la chambre en ébullition et
air
effectivement
coming in and then
l'extérieur n'est pas
the
ce même conduit. Donc
smoke
effectivement,
coming
il faut tout
out
un
through
mécanisme en
the
fait au sein du
same
foyer pour traiter
through the
on va
same
dire
appliance. So there's a very complex balance between the two.
ce que dit comme ça,
It
ça semble
seems quite
facile,
simple
mais en fait,
explained like this, but
alors il y a de
well,
nombreuses
there's
années
a lot of
d'analyse
hours of
effectivement
R&Ds
passées
that
sur
are
ces sujets,
spent
mais
on this topic.
le
These
sans
are
aller trop
not
plus
things
loin
that you
effectivement
learn
en dehors de
outside
l'entreprise,
of
c'est
the
vraiment
company. It
c'est un
really is
savoir-faire
a
et
know-how that we have within
on
Focus.
accompagne en
We
fait
are supporting our
de
employees
guider
to
effectivement
guide them
cette
in this
approche
approach and in
sur
this
ces différentes
design that
offres.
we're
Donc c'est pour ça que ça
developing
nous a
within our
demandé,
appliances.
oui, il y a quelques années
Yes,
effectivement
quite a lot of
de
hours
refonte.
went into
Et
it.
je dirais que tout
But
marche
I would
pas
say
à chaque fois comme
not,
on
it
imagine
doesn't
puisque
always work the
ce
way
qu'on
we
imagine en
imagine
R&D
because what's
lorsque
imagined
l'employé se
in the R&D,
met
and once
au
we
test,
put
on fonctionnera
the
pendant une
appliances
semaine.
on the test beds for
Et
several weeks, and what we
vous
imagined,
imaginez que tout ça se dilate,
it changes
quelque chose
because
qui sert à rien.
everything dilates because there's
Donc il
heat.
faut être
So you need to
extrêmement
be very
pragmatique
pragmatic at
et former
times.
les gens. Voilà, les
And the
personnes au
people
labo
in the
travaillent
lab
en
are
étroite
working
collaboration
closely
avec la
with
R&D
R&D,
et
and then
ça
it
revient
comes
chez
back
moi
to me when
pour
we need
changer
to
des
change
pièces, etc.
parts.
Le
The
processus
process
est
is
assez
quite a
long.
lengthy one.
Donc c'est vrai que par
With
rapport à ça,
regards to this,
les
Christophe's
les
teams
martèlent
are
suffisamment, mais du coup,
really push it
au niveau de l'approche
and
de
hammer
l'entreprise,
it. What
ce qui est
is
vraiment
really
important
important
chez nous,
within Focus is that
c'est que c'est la
it
technique
is
qui s'adapte au
the
design
technical aspect
et non
that
pas l'inverse,
adjusts
où on
to
doit
design
recréer
and not the reverse as we
et
can
du coup,
have
effectivement, sur
elsewhere.
toutes les formes qui
So
sont vraiment
we
concevables.
cannot touch the
Il y a cette
shapes.
technicité qui va
There's
faire pour vraiment
then we need to
intégrer
include
les
all of our technicity to
des solutions
integrate the
effectivement pour
solutions to
réinitialiser
manage and
les
funnel
meilleures de conditions.
the air inside it. And there's innovation that goes all the way to patent, and it's the case with gas gyrofocus, which is a really great innovation.
C'est une
It
innovation
was a
majeure
global first, so can you
bien sûr.
explain how it was such a
Effectivement,
great
sur
first?
ce
Well, you
gyrofocus-là,
can
sur des
imagine
milliers
that
d'années,
this gyrofocus that
on
is
ne va pas toucher, on ne va pas exploiter.
gas
Donc du coup,
powered,
on
you
a
cannot
un diamètre de conduite comme toutes les
touch
coques,
the outside shell, so
c'est
you've
déjà pas
already
petit.
got
Et du
a
coup, c'est
precise
tout petit conduit qui fait seulement 20 centimètres. Il faut imaginer qu'il fait passer à
precision.
l'intérieur
You need
l'arrivée
to
de
have the
gaz,
gas coming in,
l'arrivée d'air
the
et
air
le
coming
départ de
in,
gaz.
and the
Donc
gas exhaust
c'est pas
within the same tiny
immédiatement,
tube, and it's
c'est
not
effectivement
very large. So
c'est un
there's a whole
refroidissement qui va
cooling
permettre
process
effectivement
that allows
de
us
permettre en fait
to bring
l'arrivée du
in the
gaz par
gas
l'entrée parce que c'est
the
également un foyer pivotant suspendu au
to
plafond.
the fireplace
Et j'ai
because it's
partie
also
dans le défi qui est
suspended
que
and
pour
revolving.
qu'un gyrofocus qui ne pivote pas,
So it has to continue
c'est que
to
ça peut être
revolve
un
because a
mécanisme assez solide.
gyrofocus that wouldn't move
Donc
wouldn't be a
l'innovation
gyrofocus.
pousse aussi là-dessus,
So
c'est
we
qu'il reste
insist on
pivotant,
this. It needs to
à
continue
l'accueillir des arrivées de
to
gaz.
revolve
Ça
while
c'est
C'est vrai
bringing
qu'il nous
in
pousse
gas.
vraiment dans
So he's
l'expertise d'un
pushing
produit
us in
parce
our
qu'effectivement, on aurait pu
expertise
dire
of the product. So when the
tout est
dossier
arrivé, on
arrived,
aurait
we
pu
could
dire
have
bon,
said,
on va
well,
faire un
we're going to
gyrofocus
do a
suspended,
fixed
c'est génial,
suspended
on fait déjà pour arrêter
gyrofocus.
l'arrivée du gaz c'était
It
compliqué,
was complicated
mais
with gas,
non,
but
effectivement, ça, on l'appellera pas
we
gyrofocus si
can't
tu
call
remontes
it.
pas ça.
We were told,
Il
well, we
faut
can't call it
qu'il
gyrofocus if it doesn't
s'adapte à
revolve, and then we
l'environnement.
had to adjust to all of the
Là-dessus, je pense que c'est
constraints.
là où on bouleverse
I
un
think
peu
this
les
is
codes
where
établis,
we
c'est quand
disrupt the established
quelqu'un a une
codes when
idée
somebody has an idea
d'amener du gaz
to contribute gas through the ceiling.
on a vu des
We've
chambres à gaz
had
posées sur le sol depuis bien longtemps. Et
gas fireplaces on the
l'innovation, c'est
ground
de
for a
trouver
long
vraiment des
time, but
standards.
sometimes we look for
Parce
standards
qu'on
that
connaît
don't
les points
exist
bruns sur
when
certains,
we're ahead of the
d'autres,
game on certain
ils
aspects.
existent,
Here
mais
they exist, but
ça arrive. un énorme
Yes, there's always a slight discrepancy. The strength of focus is to always be ahead. Well, disruptive, as we saw earlier, and this was mentioned in the first topic of the day. We have focused on these three models that you have explained to us, but this level of demand is the same for all of the models. This demand, this purity of the lines, it's obvious for you, right? Well, in what we contribute today, in our métiers, we cannot go get a mechanician or a thermal specialist in the marketplace. Today, the solutions that we contribute really have this concern for precision, purity, simplicity across all of our products and ranges. So it is often reminded to the teams by Christophe. We apply it to the fireplaces, but it goes all the way to the accessories, products that seem simple in terms of their design. And we can imagine that they're also simple to manufacture, but that's really not the case. So when there are three parts, it's hard to hide everything, and that's where the complexity comes in. And when we design the products, looking at the manufacturing, how are you staffed in Cavaillon, in Provence, to meet such a high level of excellence? What are the specific traits that we find on your manufacturing site? Well, the strength of focus, what we've always wanted to manufacture our products was to master all of our operations. So today, we have the pencil strokes, and behind that, we transform the design, the R&D part, and then there's all of the assembly, the finish, the painting, all the way to the packaging of the product. And there are many different trades, and what we're looking for all of these trades is the love for the products. It's this passion. So describe these products. What type of products are we talking? Oh, sorry, what type of trades are we talking about? Well, we're going from a sheet of metal, so we've got the whole preparation of the metal. So it's going to go with cutting and transformation to then move to boiler maker, and there are craftsmen, so they're going to shape the metal to make products that can be branded for focus. So we have this whole welding piece that takes a lot of space within our manufacturing. And you also have all of the people that are working on the finishes of this products who are going to shape the product, custom shape the product in order to highlight the purity of the curves of the product. And with this, you have traits that are more painters. So we've got painting experts and also experts to assemble the parts. And you also have a support services for quality, for the industrialization of the products. And that's very important. It allows us to support this product through the entire chain. Yes, it's true that it's very interesting to work with all of these trades. It's not just an engineering team with a classic training. You have ergonomists, engineer, people who've gone through design school, people who are more technical. They have this culture that is easy to understand for them because it's already inside them. So you're saying that the culture is important. You need to recruit people with a certain attitude and not just technical skills. So you want to talk about these criteria? What is the mindset that you're looking for, and how can you identify it during an interview? Well, when we recruit today, what we're looking for is behavior, is the capacity to be flexible, to adjust, and to be simple in order to adjust to the design and the manufacturing of focused products. And that's
C'est ce qu'on
what
retrouve
we're finding
un
at
peu sur
every
le même
stage.
Pas plus à dire.
pas plus, d'accord, pas
Sur
plus. En
au
gros,
niveau de
So
s'il y a 30
roughly, if you have
prototypes à
30
faire,
prototypes to
il
make,
faut
you
en faire
need to
30
make these
évidemment, ce qui
30
suppose de poser
prototypes.
la
And this
question: «Qu'est-ce qu'on fait?»
presupposes the
Donc il y a
capacity to
beaucoup de
question
remise en question
ourselves.
comme ça dans
Yes,
nos
we
équipes.
question ourselves with our teams.
Aujourd'hui,
Today,
on va
we're
aussi se
not
cantonner
going to
finalement,
stick to
à
a
une direction.
financial
Aujourd'hui,
budget.
ce qu'on
Today, what
recherche, c'est
we're looking
sortir un
is
produit
to release
qui
a
sera
product
qui
that will
répondra à
meet
la qualité,
the
exigée
standard
par
of quality that is required
et
by the design.
ouais, tout à fait.
Mais enfin, je pense qu'il
I
faut, voilà, il
think
faut aussi
that
des
you
designs
also need
endurants et
people
accepter,
who are
que c'est
resilient,
pas
who
la
can
bonne,
accept that the first
parce
ideas may not be the
qu'il peut y
best
avoir,
one, because
comment dire, des
often there
changements
are
de programme,
changes of
liés à ces
programs
objectifs et
linked to
puis
what I said
il y a
earlier,
toujours
because not
cette
everything
énergie,
works as we'd
cette
mentioned
développement
and this development
Et vraiment
stage.
cette capacité
This
d'agilité,
agility capacity is
vraiment
very
recherchée,
important, and it's
lors
what we're really
des
looking
entretiens.
for in our interviews.
Vous avez fait le choix du
You've
Made in France,
chosen to be made in France. Why?
donc c'est une
Well, it's
vraie
a real
philosophie d'entreprise.
philosophy in the
On a
business.
toujours
We've
souhaité
always wanted to
promouvoir
promote
l'emploi
local
local.
employment as well.
C'est
This
une
is
usine,
a plant,
la manufacture de
the
Cavaillon
manufacturing site
qui a
in
fait cette
Cavaillon
transition, enfin, qui a démarré
started
toute
all
cette
of this
aventure.
adventure.
Et
And
aujourd'hui,
today
on
we're
recherche
really
vraiment
looking
à
to
pérenniser, on va dire, ces
make these
emplois.
jobs
Donc,
sustainable.
le
So
Made in
this
France,
made in France is
pour nous,
very
est très
important
important.
for
De toute
us.
façon, on nous
We're
demande de
asked
travailler
for such a
avec beaucoup
level of
d'agilité,
agility that
qu'on n'a
we
pas
don't have any
d'autre alternative
alternative
finalement
than
que
to
de faire
call
appel à
upon
toute cette
this
énergie,
entire team, all of
tout
this
ce savoir-faire,
know-how
ce savoir-être
and
pour
these
retrouver
behaviors that we can
dans nos
find within
entreprises.
our company.
oui, puis ça correspond
And
avec une
this
idée de
also
design
meets
aussi,
a
parce
specific
que
idea
les
of
grandes
design.
marques, enfin, auxquelles je pense, qui sont
The
comparables aux
brands
nôtres,
that others
sont
could compare to ours, and
pas
they're
cette
also
technologie-là non plus.
not making
Nous,
these savings.
en
So
amont, dans
upstream
le
in our
design
design,
de
in the way
PCB,
we design the
on
products,
sait que
we know that
les
costs
coûts
are
sont importants
important,
de
the
fabrication. La
manufacturing
fabrication
cost, and
française,
French
c'est
manufacturing
mieux,
is
c'est un
prestigious.
savoir-faire
It's a know-how
qui correspond
that is
à une façon de
also
décider aussi
meeting
de
a
l'essentiel.
design
L'idée,
process that
c'est
is
aussi très
essential. This is
constructif, c'est
why our
aussi éprouvant.
products
L'idée, c'est
are
de
so
pas en
streamlined.
rajouter
We just don't want to add
là où il faudrait pas.
things where it
C'est ça
shouldn't
qui
be
peut
added. And this is what pushes us to
générer beaucoup
have
de
a lot of
créativité aussi,
creativity as well,
parce
because
qu'on est
we are
obligé
forced
d'être essentiel
to
dans,
find
dans les
essential
solutions proposées.
solutions.
Pour compléter ce
To add to what
Christophe
Christophe has said,
a
we're
dit,
asked
comme
for such a
on
level
est
of
toujours
quality
on est
that we are
très
very
vigilant sur
vigilant on
la
how
finition
our
des produits.
products
Donc ça nous demande effectivement
receive their
d'être
finishing
permanent
touches. So we need
en
to
sur
be
vigilance permanente.
permanently
Et
vigilant. What
ce que
I
je dois dire
also
aussi, c'est
wanted
que
to add
c'est
is
le
that
métier a changé. C'est-à-dire que
our
quand
trade
en
has,
1968, on a
when we
fabriqué les
started
premiers
manufacturing the
Gyrofocus
first gyrofocuses in '68,
industriels,
they
on
were
faisait des
just a
pièces
couple of
aujourd'hui.
parts. And today,
Quand on
when
fabrique un
we
Gyrofocus, c'est 8 fois plus
manufacture
élevé. Et du coup,
uh,
ça nous donne 8 fois plus de
a
temps.
glass
Hein. Et du
gyrofocus, it
coup, ça nous
requires
demande
8
une vraie
times
adaptation à un
more
système de
time.
production. Et c'est pas
And we
ça, on ne
won't
pourra pas
be
le
able to
retrouver
find
en
this
manufacture
in
qui n'a
on a
pas ce sens. Donc c'est
manufacturing
beaucoup plus
site that
de
does not
sécurité
have the
industrielle adaptée en fait à notre
mindset,
industrie.
because we need to
Parce
have
que
the right
au final, on s'en fiche.
manufacturing, because it really
Ça
starts
commence à la
with
conception.
design.
Si on n'en a pas
If you're not
conscience,
aware
avant
before
les chaînes
the
de fabrication,
manufacturing
ce serait
of what
pas
you're going to do,
réalisable.
you wouldn't be able to do
Et
this.
il y a le design, il y a la
Design,
créativité,
creativity,
l'innovation, mais aussi la
innovation,
fiabilité.
also the
C'est pas quelque chose
robustness
qu'on
of the
met en
models.
premier. C'est
You shouldn't
important
forget it. It's
la
important in customer
satisfaction client.
satisfaction as well. You were
Vous
saying,
disiez, je
Christophe,
crois,
that
Christophe,
there
que c'est
are
des cheminées qui font
um,
plusieurs maisons.
Oui,
fireplaces
oui,
which
C'est un signe de robustesse. C'est arrivé, ouais.
exactement.
are very
C'est de voir
strong.
à quel point
We're making a
un
very
produit durable,
sustainable
finalement,
product.
Et le design, la conception aujourd'hui
What
en
about
2021
design
chez Focus, c'est quoi?
within Focus in
Qu'est-ce que vous
2021?
définiriez?
What is it, and how
ben, ce
would
qui
you
me vient,
define
c'est
it? Well,
une
what
grande
comes to
synergie,
mind is
une
a
grande
lot of
collaboration
synergy
entre
and
tous
a
les
lot of
services,
collaboration with all of the services.
quelque chose de, voilà, qui m'est apparu très collégial depuis quelques
It
années,
is
même
something
avec le
that
commerce,
began being
parce que
very collegial a few
on ne
years
peut
ago, and even with
pas
sales,
échapper
we cannot
à
avoid
l'augmentation du cahier des charges
the
techniques
increase
pour
of
que
the
ces produits
number of
arrivent.
technical specs
Et
for all of
ça
these
nous demande
products that are
effectivement de
arriving on the
collaborer aussi
market.
les uns les
And
autres,
it is asking
et
us to be very
on
coordinated with one another.
va loin,
De
ouais,
l'expérience
So
ouais,
we're
industrielle.
going very far.
c'est c'est vrai qu'on peut avoir un
It's
travail
true
même
that
sur,
we can
le
also
design,
work
du
on
feu à l'intérieur d'un foyer
the
gaz
design
parce que,
of the
nous comme
fire
commerciaux, nous avons
inside
remonté
of
le fait
a
que
gas
bon, c'était pas
fireplace
très
because
équilibré à l'intérieur du foyer
design said
et
that it
voilà,
wasn't
on
very
prend ça très au
balanced
sérieux
inside
forcément,
of the fireplace, and we
être,
take things very
quelques fireplaces,
seriously. There's going to
l'activer
be 3 or 4 of
et
us
demander,
around this fireplace
l'avis jusqu'à mon
asking
service
for an
design,
opinion
numérique si, ça convient, au moment des photos et enfin, je pense
and
que voilà,
asking if
tout le
it's
monde
okay
est
and sending
important.
Tout à fait. Il y a des
photos.
frontières
And
qui
the
sont
opinion of
moins
everybody is
étroites
important.
qu'avant,
So the
où il y a
borders are not
des
as
frontières
well
moins étroites
defined
qu'avant
as
entre design
before
et
between
industrie.
C'est
design
ça,
and industry.
cette complexité des
Well,
projets nous pousse en
this
fait
level of
à
complexity
développer une
pushes
collective
us
collective au sein de
to
l'entreprise.
develop
Et
a
du coup,
collective
c'est
intelligence within the
cette
company.
fusion des services
And it
qui fait
is
que
this
ce travail
merging of the
collaboratif qu'on met en
services,
place
it's all of this
qui va nous
collaborative
permettre
work that we're setting
de
up that
concevoir
allows
la
us
fabrication française.
to design and manufacture in
C'est
France.
générateur de créativité,
Yes, it
ça
generates
ne fait qu'encourager,
creativity
je pense.
and it's
Et
only
par
going
exemple,
to
il y a une cellule
increase.
d'innovation qui vient
There
d'être
is an
créée au sein
innovation unit that was
du laboratoire
created
d'essai,
within
je crois. Ça
the
fait figure, ça
test
permet de travailler
laboratory. Does
peut-être plus
that show this
collaborativement
more
On
collaborative
recherche
approach
vraiment
between the
effectivement une
services?
finalité
Well,
et
our
une
final
cohésion
aim
et une
is to
coordination effectivement
have
entre
cohesion
les
and
services. Et aujourd'hui,
coordination between
dans
the
cette
various
nécessité de
services. Today, we
d'innovation
need
pour aller
to
encore plus
develop
loin
this
et
innovation unit
développer
to go
finalement
even
les
further and
solutions dont
develop
on aura besoin demain,
solutions that we
beaucoup
might
plus
need
que ce qu'on fait
tomorrow,
aujourd'hui. D'être
much more
toujours
than what we're
effectivement
doing
dans
today,
cette recherche
and
d'innovation.
always with
Et
this mindset of looking for
aujourd'hui,
innovation.
effectivement, c'est que l'innovation chez Focus,
So we can
elle est
see
dans
that
tous nos services.
innovation within
Et c'est
Focus
ce
can be
travail
seen
collaboratif qui
at
fait
all
qu'il n'y a
in
pas
all
de
of our
barrière
services. And it's
dans
this work
les
that we
entreprises.
do
Bon,
that
pour
means
finir,
that we have
sur
no
quel
borders
regard
within the
théorie
company.
vous portez sur
How do you see one another
vos travaux
and
respectifs,
how you
Christophe
both
pour
work?
Mathieu et vice-versa, en quelques
So
mots?
vice versa, in a few words.
Au sein de Focus,
Within
la
Focus
manufacture, on ne pourrait
and
pas
the
finalement
manufacturing
fabriquer
site, we would not be
de la
able
façon
to
dont on fait
continue
Focus
to
si on n'avait pas
manufacture these
une
Focus
étroite
products
collaboration
if we weren't
avec
working
toutes les
very
équipes,
closely with
notamment
all
les
of the
équipes
teams and
design,
especially the
parce
design
qu'effectivement, ça
teams
apporte
because
finalement
it
une
really
sensibilisation
brings us an awareness
aux opérateurs, aux
for our
techniciens, aux
operators,
ingénieurs,
for our
et
technicians, for our
ça nous permet aussi
engineers, and it
d'avoir une approche
allows us to
différente
have a different
et de
approach
comprendre finalement
and to
la philosophie
understand
du produit dans
the
toute sa simplicité.
philosophy of the product in all of its
Et moi, ce que j'aime,
simplicity.
vraiment,
And
c'est
what
que
I really
parfois
like
les
is
enfin, les
that
initiatives ou les idées,
sometimes the initiatives and
sont
the
justement à l'initiative,
ideas
de 1 ou 2
come
personnes et
from
puis,
one or two
ça
people,
devient parfois des
and
briques
sometimes
collatérales.
it becomes
Donc c'est
company-wide
vraiment,
products
c'est pour
and
compléter ce que dit Mathieu,
company-wide
c'est vrai que,
projects. So
c'est toujours
to
très
add
bien
to what
accueilli,
Mathieu has said, it's always
malgré,
very welcome
les quelques kilomètres qui nous
in
séparent.
spite of the few
Et
kilometers between us.
rappelons aussi que
Let
Focus
us also say
est
that
indépendant,
Focus is an independent company
capitalistiquement, c'est
from
donc
a capital
les bénéfices
perspective.
sont pas
So
entièrement
the
réinjectés
profits are
dans la R&D, c'est pas
re-injected into
Et donc ça,
R&D,
c'est
and
une
that's
vraie
also
volonté
important.
effectivement
Yes,
de
that's a
l'entreprise,
real
c'est
will of the
qu'effectivement
company.
les bénéfices
The profits
qui sont obtenus
that
avec tous les
we
efforts
get
de
with
l'ensemble des
all of
collaborateurs
the
sont
efforts of
réinjectés
all of our
dans
employees
les hommes,
are
dans
re-injected
la R&D,
into
dans les services
R&D
les services de
in
création.
all of the
Et
creation services.
c'est vraiment une vraie
And
valeur
it really
de
is
l'entreprise.
a real
De,
value for the company.
notre objectif, c'est vraiment de
Our
remettre aussi l'humain
objective
au cœur de
is to
l'entreprise.
release the human
C'est une belle
side of
conclusion.
the company.
Merci,
That's a great
merci beaucoup,
conclusion.
messieurs.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Avant la
Before
conclusion
we
de Jean-Marc
wrap up
Chalier,
with Jean-Marc Chalier,
coprésident
who is
de
the
Focus, je vous
co-president of
propose à présent de
Focus,
visionner une
I
vidéo
would
de
like
6
to
minutes.
show you
Il
a
s'agit du
video of
destin
6 minutes,
croisé
which
entre
is
Dominique Imbert,
the destiny between
fondateur de
Dominique
Focus, et
Imbert
sa
as
création la
founder of
plus
Focus
iconique,
and
le
his most
Gyrofocus. On
iconic
se retrouve
creation, which is
juste
the
après la vidéo.
Gyrofocus. Let us watch it now.
Je crois que ce qui est bien, c'est
I
d'être
think that what is good is
marin,
to be a
chasseur,
sailor, a hunter,
aviateur,
an aviator,
créateur de
a
formes, tout
creator
ce
of
qu'on veut,
shape,
mais
whatever you want.
il faut pas
but
s'enfermer
you
dans
shouldn't lock
l'image
yourself up in
d'un designer
the
qui passe
image
son
of a
temps derrière la
designer
table
that
à
spends
dessiner,
all of his time
ce
in
que je
front of
ne
the
suis pas.
drawing boards, and that's
Puisque
not
je
who
n'ai
I
fait
am
aucune étude
because I have no formal
pour apprendre à
education
dessiner.
to learn how to draw.
Bien sûr que
Of
non,
course
je ne le
not.
savais pas
I didn't
d'ailleurs quand j'ai
know
fabriqué le
when I
premier.
manufactured the
Je me
first
disais que
one.
c'était peut-être le seul que je
I thought
ferais.
that maybe it would be the only
C'est
one I
quelqu'un
would
qui m'a
make,
dit,
and
tiens,
somebody
j'aimerais
told me,
bien en
"Hey,
avoir
I'd
un
like to have
comme ça
one just
avec
like that."
plein de
So I
détails.
made a second one.
Mais pour les fabriquer, ça a
But
pris un
to
temps
manufacture them, it
infini.
took an incredible amount of
C'était
time, and it
surtout ce
was
qui est
terrible,
ce qu'on appelle
especially
l'épanouissement.
what
Ce,
the
cet
shape,
envolé au-dessus
this
du foyer,
above the
pour moi,
earth,
c'était très, très difficile à faire.
this curved part
Le
that goes up
premier,
was very
à
hard to
fabriquer, m'a pris
manufacture.
peut-être un
The
mois
first one
à
took
le
me about
fabriquer.
3 months to
Le deuxième,
manufacture.
un peu
The
moins.
second one took me a
Et
little
comme je
less
suis un grand
time.
feignant, je
And
pensais
because
qu'il
I'm
valait mieux que
extremely
je les fasse
lazy,
fabriquer
I thought it would be best to have them
par des
manufactured
chaudronniers
by
qui avaient plus
um,
d'outils que moi, parce que moi,
Boilermakers who had
voilà,
more tools than I
sauf
did.
un poste à soudure et une
I didn't have
tronçonneuse.
any tools. All I had was a welding kit and a chainsaw.
Très petit, c'est vrai, j'étais fasciné
Very,
par le feu.
when I was very
Avec
little, I
mes
was
frères et sœurs,
fascinated
on
by
était
fire.
tous
With my brothers and sisters,
autour
we were
d'une
all
cheminée, une
around a
grande
hearth in
cheminée
the wall, a
traditionnelle.
very large
Et
traditional
j'ai
one,
pensé à une
and
cheminée au milieu d'une
I
pièce,
thought
puisqu'on
about
était
an hearth
tous
in the
là
middle of a
contre le
room because we were
feu,
all
ce
there
serait mieux
right next to the fire, and it would
d'être
be
autour.
better to be all around the
Et je
fire.
crois que c'est les premiers
And I
modèles,
thought this
je
was
pense,
the
puisque j'ai
first
jamais entendu
model
parler d'autres cheminées
because
PVC
I've
à
never
l'époque.
heard
J'avais
of
jamais
other
entendu parler.
revolving
Donc je crois que c'est
fireplaces
le
at the
premier
time.
modèle dans le
I think
monde
it's
qui
the
m'ait été
first
présenté.
revolving fireplace in the world.
Oh, ça c'est
Well,
rigolo,
that's
parce que
actually
je l'ai
funny.
présenté dans un
I
minuscule
showcased it
stand
in a
à
very
Paris
small booth in
dans un
Paris
salon
in
et
a
je
trade
voyais
fair,
les gens
and I
qui
saw
passaient
people
cracher
that
des
were
remarques.
walking past
Oh,
who would make
regarde le
comments. Oh, look, it's like a
crocodile, oh,
crocodile.
regarde le
Oh, look,
verrou. Et
it's
ça, c'était
like
une cheminée, waf, waf,
a
waf.
very large fish.
Et tout
Is
le
that a
monde
chimney?
rigolait.
And everybody was laughing.
Et même j'ai vu un
I
jour
even saw it one day,
deux
two
personnes, deux
people,
mecs, bien,
two
bien
men
jolis costards, grosse cravate, et puis
with
des
a suit
cigares.
and
Tous les deux
tie
avaient un cigare.
and a cigar.
Ils
Both
se
of them
sont
were smoking a
approchés de la
cigar, and they came
cheminée
close to the
sans me
fireplace
regarder, sans
without
faire
looking at
attention à
me,
moi.
without paying
Il y en
attention
a
to
un
me.
des
And one of
deux qui a
them
dit
said
à l'autre,
to the other,
regarde ce qu'ils nous font
"Look at
aujourd'hui.
what
Et tous les
they're
deux ont
making
éclaté de
today." And
rire.
both of them
Et
laughed.
puis ils sont
And
repartis.
then they left.
Je me suis dit, putain, ils se foutent un
I
peu de ma
thought to
gueule.
myself, well, damn, they're making fun of me.
Le gyro
The
était
gyro
plus représenté comme une icône
is an
international que les autres, mais les autres,
international
au
icon
niveau
more than the
commercial, au niveau
others,
de
but
l'attrait, au
the
niveau de
others, in terms
l'intérêt,
of
je
commercialization
les renie pas
and
du tout. Pour
attraction,
moi, ils sont tous au même
I do not
niveau. Le
negate
gyro,
them. They're
premier,
all at the same level. Gyro is the others.
vitré. Il est
Well,
vitré pour
glassed.
faire
It has
un foyer fermé.
glass panes to
Ce qui
make it
était la
a
grande
closed
difficulté, c'était faire
fireplace, and that was the main difficulty.
un
It
foyer
was
fermé
to
pour
do a
répondre aux
closed
normes
fireplace to meet
à
the
venir
upcoming
dans l'année qui vient, en
standards
2022.
in
Donc c'était
2022,
difficile de
and it
faire
was
quelque chose de
difficult to
fermé
do
avec
something
une
that
forme qui
was
n'est absolument pas
closed
géométrique, quoi.
with a shape that is
Les
not
portes sur
geometric.
cette ouverture-là, c'était pas
To
possible.
put door
Alors la
panels on this wasn't
solution
possible,
d'un
so we
foyer
had the
fermé par
solution of
des portes qui coulissent à
having
l'intérieur
doors that slide
peut
back
être assez
in,
gênant.
and it seemed to be the
Là, je
right
suis obligé
solution.
d'être content
I'm
parce qu'on
forced to
ne
be
modifie
happy
pas la
because we
forme
do not
du
modify
foyer.
the
Et
shape
ça,
of the earth, and
c'est un tour de force. C'est
that
de faire un
is
foyer qui fonctionne bien
a great
avec des
strength. It's to
arrivées
do a hearth
d'air
that
qui
works
ont
well
été
with
spécialement étudiés pour ça.
a
Et je
specific
suis
design
désolé,
for
j'aurais
the air
été
supply.
catastrophé
I would have been
si
devastated
cette forme allait
if
aux
this
poubelles à cause
shape
des normes.
was trashed because of standards.
Eh ben, c'est comme
It's
moi,
just like
regardez.
me. Just
C'est
look at
comme
me.
quand j'avais
It's as if
40 ans.
when I was
Non,
40, no,
28 ans quand
28,
je crée.
28 when I created
C'est comme
it.
moi, je suis resté le
I've
même,
remained the
impeccable.
same, absolutely
Pas une
impeccable,
ride.
not a wrinkle. This was a lot of emotion with Dominique Imbert. So, Jean-Marc Chalier, you are going to be here to conclude the day. Hello, Jean-Marc. You are the co-president of Focus with Laurent Gabory. You are one of the oldest employees in the company for the past 32 years. So, Focus holds no secret for you anymore. Today in 2021, how can you summarize the spirit, the mindset of Focus? Well, it's innovation. You've talked about it a lot. It's creativity. It is calling ourselves into question again and again, and a mindset as well in which everybody must find his own space. And that's really important. This company works because all of the individuals that are a part of it have their space. They really have their full entire space. We've spoken a lot about eco-design. Is it a threat or an opportunity for Focus? Well, we're going through it. We've gone through other things within the company. It is important. We've prepared it for many years now because it didn't happen right away. We've been preparing for this for the past 6 or 7 years. So eco-design is a something that we have to face, but we have products that we can transform to make them compatible. And when we look at all of the other standards, we have a environmental movement, which means that, of course, there will be other constraints in the upcoming years. How do you adjust to all of these standards without really changing your design? Well, that was the challenge. That really was the only specification, to not touch the design and make sure that all of the products became compliant with these standards. This is why we've worked with other energies like gas. This is why we're also thinking about other energies. And it's true that there is a know-how that was developed between Viol and Cavaillon. So between the head office and the manufacturing side, we've had a real exchange over the past several years, and we think that's the real victory. The skills on both sides meant that everybody worked well together. Well, we've really seen it on the third topic with Mathieu and Christophe. It really is important. Can you remind us very quickly of the stages of industrialization? I think that the manufacturing site in Cavaillon almost didn't happen. Oh, I could say many things because I lived through them. At the very beginning, you need to imagine Dominique Imbert with his 1/10 model. It was at the beginning of the 1970s. A revolving suspended fireplace was a UFO, basically. It was really not in the spirit of what was done. So he was looking in vain for somebody in the area to build his products for architects. And he really had a hard time finding employees. And one day he was told, go to Cavaillon. There is a boiler making company with 250 employees. He went there. He wasn't exactly welcome because I don't know that he made an appointment and he was going to leave. And when he was just about to leave, one assistant said, Sir, this could be interesting for my brother. And then they met. And that was that. And sometimes it's just details. It was just a, an assistant that had a design eye. And this story was actually told me by that person herself. So beyond this anecdote, there's a message as well for young creators. Yes, for young creators, what is certain is the message of Dominique Imbert. When I started, there were four of us, and Dominique Imbert wasn't even being paid. So if I have a message to share is when you believe in your dreams and in your projects, you need to be unrelenting. You need will, courage, and perseverance. That's certain. because not everything was this simple. I'm not saying it's simple now, but success wasn't always at this level. No, Dominique Imbert would be there. He would tell you that it was just really hard going for the first 15 or 20 years. For the rest, without unveiling too many things, are you going to say that you're not going to stop there? So how are you designing the fireplace of the 21st century? As I said, the standards are only going to be more exacting. Certainly, the heating element will be less essential because these are low consumption houses, and the regulations on construction will mean that we'll have more and more passive residences. But people still need a flame. They still need the pleasure of having a fire. So we're imagining holographs. We're imagining other types of fuels. We're imagining tomorrow's fireplace. And yes, it still has some great days ahead. The company is a little bit more than 50 years old. The people that you're hiring today are not coming for the same reasons that 20 or even 10 years ago. How can you have this startup mind and how can you attract talents in a company that's 50-year-old? Well, it's interesting because it is a company that is creative, but also creative in its human management and in its daily management. It's true that we don't attract somebody who's coming from Singapore to come to Vieux-de-Fort. It's not that simple. It's Vieux-de-Fort in Hérault, which is the head office. Yes, it's a little village with 1,000 souls. So it's not always easy. However, I think that today people are attracted to this because they feel the mindset. And this mindset is very important because you can have the best products in the world, you can have the best solutions. If you don't have the right teams, it's not going to work. That's very clear. And that was your conclusion? Yes, to conclude, I could say that this is a company, as we said earlier, it's a little bit like a startup, but it's a startup that has a lot of imagination, a lot of internal resources, and a company, yes, that has a great future. We don't doubt that for a minute. This event is coming to an end, so we want to thank you all for your attention throughout the day. You will find the link for the replay on social media. Have a lovely day.